Working on The Girls in the Boat was a real pleasure. Firstly, because the script was so good. Angela Keogh had produced a fabulous script. Secondly, because the cast, Elaine and Susie and Mary Pat and Angela, were such a joy to work with. And even though we had a script, there was also a fluidity, I suppose, through the rehearsal process where ideas came up and were discussed and some were taken in and some weren't. And thirdly, the whole notion of rehearsing a play about rowing in the gymnasium of a rowing club was just amazing. And not only did we learn a lot about theatre as the rehearsals went on, learned a lot about rowing as well, and even got to be an honorary member of Carlow Rowing Club, who opened their doors to us. So it was just such a pleasure to work on a play which is the story of four women who share a boat, but who also share their lives, the ups, the downs, the goods, the bads, the ins and outs of living in a town. And this is just such a wonderful, warm, powerful, moving play.
I applied for an Agility Award with the Arts Council and I got the funding to write the play The Girls in the Boat. And once I had the idea and the script almost finished, I really wanted to put on the play, and I spoke to Carlow County Council and they supported the project. So I recruited some of the actors from the Masters crew in Carlow, and the club have been so supportive, and the rest of the Masters crew got on board, and we have had such crack. We managed to do our training sessions while we were rehearsing, which was brilliant. We drove the director, John McKenna, crazy because every time he looked around, somebody was doing a training session. But it worked. It just worked. And it was absolutely magnificent. And we had such crack. It's the story of four women whose lives are intertwined with their sport. The club is fictional. It's set in Lakeside Boat Club. It's on the shores of Lake Brendan in the Midlands somewhere. And so much fun. Enjoyed every minute of it. Look, there's a lot going on at the championships. It's the biggest regatta of the year. Trailers, boats, people everywhere. We parked up, dragged our stuff to the trailer. I set about rigging the boat. There's something very reassuring about rigging a boat. The nerves just settle. There are also some people who should never be left unsupervised with a spanner.
I love the start of winter training. The evenings drawn in and the return to gym work. The smell of turf smoke settles on the town and you've got to fight against the pull of the warm hearth. But regattas are won in the winter. Everyone knows that. It's just that kind of sport. The more you put in, the more you get out. I almost lived here when we were teenagers. Now I'm just here 5 days a week. 3 in the gym, 2 on the water. That's all I can manage anyway.
I love rowing with Gus, even though she still scares me. There's a point where the boat just glides. It's like flying. Everything else disappears. His anger, my grandfather, the past. It's like we leave it all behind. Everything gets clearer. Nothing but movement. The boat, the lake.
Everyone thinks I'm as hard as nails. But I had to learn how to be tough. In fairness, Dave was a great coach for that. He always knew exactly what to say, what to do. I can picture him standing there with his hands on his hips when I was out on the water. And he'd start shouting at me the names of his sporting heroes. Sean Dre, Francis Cryan, Christy O'Brien. You know, he'd say, look behind you, girl. They're right behind you. You are right up there with the best of them. You're better than you think.
I really liked playing Sadie in the play because she's strong, she's competitive, she's always trying to escape from her family to get some training done, and it really rung true with me.
I just loved seeing how it all came together, from getting the script on the first day, from conception to production. I loved it.
I love the experience of being in the whole atmosphere of the rowing club and having that echo of what we were trying to create around us all the time. It was really, really great. Great fun with everyone involved. Just, yeah, really, really enjoyable experience all around.
I think this is probably the most extraordinary rehearsal period that I ever went through with a play in many, many years of working in direction. It was totally immersive. Not only were we in Carlow Rowing Club, but we were in the gymnasium. Sometimes we were out on the banks of the river. And one of the things that, I won't say irked me, one of the things that surprised me was that sometimes during rehearsal I'd turn around when somebody wasn't involved in the action and find that they were actually going through a training session behind me on one of the rowing machines or something else. So I had to remind myself that 3 of the 4 actors are serious rowers. They're also very serious actors, but they're serious rowers. So there was that completely immersive experience for the other actor who hadn't been rowing, and for myself who had never rowed in my life. And that really was exciting because I could see where the story was coming from. I could see the things that influenced it, and I could see that the actors were not just involved in a play, but were really involved in the whole process of rowing and being in a play.